We have $1 billion in LOIs. So right before we got to YC March, and we knew in April we were definitely going to be homeless.
Less than a year after you finish YC, you're already going to go to space. So for anyone who says hardware companies take forever to ship or to prove their concept, like you have an example here of it's been the year since we finished YC and we're actually going to space. Welcome back to the Lobster Talks by Lobster Capital, where I have the pleasure of talking with amazing YC founders. Today we have a treat, Ashi and Reza from Spaceium. Guys, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gabriel. Very happy to be here as well.
Introduce Spaceium, please. Tell us what you guys are building because it's incredible.
Yeah, so at Spaceium, we are building fully automated space stations to refuel and repair the spacecraft. So basically, think of us like a service station, but in space for spacecraft. Because right now, what's happening is all spacecraft need to carry all the amount of fuel, the full amount of fuel they need for the whole journey. So now the spacecraft are real limited in terms of how much payload that they can carry, how far they can go, as well as reusability. So we are decoupling that, and then we are bringing fuel to space, and now spacecraft can go further. They can reuse their spacecraft. They can carry more payload, because right now it's really inefficient how space industry is operating in terms of how much fuel they have to carry. So that's where we come in, and we have multi-million dollars in commercial contracts because how much our customers need fuel for their spacecraft. And yeah, we are building something that spacecraft won't.
It's amazing. Often you see this with very difficult hard tech. It's not a market problem. If you're able to build it, everybody wants it. It's a building it problem where you actually have to make it work. So how far along are you? How does it actually work? Because everybody wants to bring fuel to space, but I believe it is very difficult. Maybe tell us a little bit more. Maybe tell us about your background. How is it working? How far along are you?
Yeah, I guess this question we both can take it like half, so I'll get started. So I'm an aerospace engineer, mechanical engineer. I have been in love with space since I was very little. And I have worked in multiple space projects where I've built simulation projects to send payloads to different asteroids, worked in building rockets, high power rockets, parachutes, rocket structures. So my whole career, it has been about space and wanting to launch to space. So that's where I come in. And Reza, if you want to talk about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my background is mechanical engineering. For Spaceium, built a bunch of rockets, high power rockets and rocket engines. Also built rocket engine in my backyard. I fired it in my backyard. The rocket engine was fine. The backyard wasn't fine. The backyard caught on fire. So to listeners of the podcast, I do not recommend firing a rocket engine in your backyard, but if you do it, I'm all here for it. Blink, blink. And yeah, that's me. And yeah, I guess in order to answer the question how far we are and how everything works, we are pretty far. We have a couple of missions coming up really soon that we are working on towards those. And how it works, there are multiple problems when it comes to refueling a spacecraft in space. One is actually like storing the fuel, and another one is actually transferring the fuel. So in terms of storage, we built like proprietary storage system in-house where we could handle fluid in space and we could actually store them. So that's something we built in-house. And another thing that we built is the robotic arm that we have that helps us with transferring the fuel. And that's another thing that we built in-house. So essentially what happens is once another spacecraft comes to us, we capture them using our robotic arm and we refuel them and then we let them go and they go about their mission. And that's the approach we've been taking.
I want to ask you first, you're trying to do two very difficult things instead of one, which is refuel and repair. Why is that? I'm sure there's a good reason. Usually it's already hard enough to do just the repairing or just the refueling. I think it goes with the arm, right? The arm can refuel and repair. But why did you choose to try to tackle two extremely difficult and different things at the same time?
So yes, our arm can do refueling as well as repair, but initially we are only focusing on refueling because market is so huge, and that's the most immediate need for all our customers. Because every customer, every space company that we talk to, not having enough fuel to do their mission is one of their biggest bottlenecks. So we are solely focusing on refueling. That being said, our robotic arm can do repairs in the future. For an example, if we need to install a refueling interface to any existing spacecraft in space, we can do that with our robotic arm. So we developed the robotic arm with the idea of being able to accommodate that for our customers. That being said, we are focusing on refueling because that's something our customers really want at the moment.
And so, are you competing with SpaceX and Starship directly? Because Starship wants to refuel itself in orbit as well. Everyone, again, understands that refueling is key. And the only people crazy enough to try are Elon Musk and you. So, are you competing with him? What's the difference, maybe, in the way it works?
No, we are not competing with SpaceX or Starship because our customers, our primary customers are OTV. So those are the in-orbit transfer vehicles. They are the ones that move satellites, move payloads around in space, as well as we have upper stage launch vehicles. How we see SpaceX, their main goal is to reach Mars. So they would like to vertically integrate everything, but that's not the case when it comes to our customers because they are not planning to vertically integrate refueling as part of their company, and that's where we come in. So no, we are not competing with SpaceX.
Interesting. Do you think you would be a good acquisition target for them, or because they integrate everything, they don't acquire anything else and they would just replicate instead of acquire you guys?
We might be, we might not be. Our goal is to go IPO at the end. So that's what we want to do because we put our heart and soul into this company. I don't know how much in terms of how we started and where we are right now. Right before we got into YC, we only had $2 in our accounts
Wow.
combined because we literally put everything, every single cent we have to Spaceium so Spaceium can survive. And initially, we didn't get investments. Obviously, it was really hard for us to get investment because nobody believed in us or our mission that we can do this. But that didn't stop us. We just kept moving forward, and YC believed us, and we got to YC. So right before we got to YC last year, like 2024 March, and we knew in April we were definitely going to be homeless. So it was
Wow.
like we knew we were like we had no place to go because we would have gotten evicted if we didn't get to YC. But we were like, no, we had to build Spaceium. Like there's no question about it. We are not going to give up on Spaceium, and we came so far how we started and where we are right now. We have multi-million dollars in commercial contracts because that's how much our customers believe in us, and what it's a really big need for the market. And not just customers believe in us, it's also our technology, how far we have come in terms of our technology and how much we have proved in terms of what we can build. We are a small team, but we move very fast, and we have two missions coming up very soon. So yeah, our goal is to go IPO. That was a very long answer to that question.
That's perfect. We're here. We have time to hear your story. So that's insane. You were almost homeless to YC, and then I think to raising an amazing seed round, pretty big. It's been announced online, so I can share the number. It was 6.3 million. And also, I think during YC, you signed $86 million in LOI. What do you think changed? Oh, I see your face. It's more than that, maybe.
So not LOIs. We have $1 billion in LOIs.
Wow, yeah.
We have $86.5 million in commercial contracts. So
Wow. Yeah.
those are actual binding commercial contracts that we have, like those are pending commercial contracts because those are in red lines, obviously, given the nature of the size of the contract. But our LOIs are like $1 billion, and we have commercial customers wanting to sign with us. Multiple commercial customers actually wanting to sign with us for their refueling missions. So yeah.
That's something I wanted to talk about. So there's two things. I want to go back to the 1 billion LOI, but just double clicking on you were almost homeless and then got into YC, got 1 billion in LOI, 86.5 million in binding contracts, and raising an amazing seed. And so what changed in between those 3 months? It's not only the YC stamp, right? Of course, YC has the power of the branding, but it's not only this, it has to be something else. What happened in those 3-4 months only to get you from a company that was about to die to a company that's on the top of the world, literally?
Mhm. Yeah. I think for us, we thought like even if we die, like we wouldn't let company die. We could like whatever happens to us, Spaceium will survive. That was our goal. And also we did get LOIs before going to YC. Like we had LOIs before going to YC, and then YC was this massive boost massive reflection of what we can do. It was YC was such an amazing foundation to show people there's this really big brand, amazing partners, amazing VCs believing in us. So that's where it come in, because there was nobody that believed in us, and then suddenly there's this amazing group of people that believe in us, who has built companies, who have exited like multi-billion, multi-million companies, and now they suddenly believe in us. That was such a eye-opening for a lot of other people as well around us. So that was one thing. And again, me and Rez and I, we don't give up. So we just literally will not give up. So that's another thing. If Reza wants to say something.
Yeah, I guess I could add, I guess, like the idea of us being homeless doesn't mean the company will die. I just want to add that if you have to build space on the side of a road, we will do it. That's no problem. Space hardware on the side of a road, maybe kind of crazy. Maybe not clean room certified or anything like that, but hey, it's a space hardware. Like you could work in space, so we will keep doing that. That was our mentality, and it is still our mentality. Whatever it takes, we'll just do it. And yeah, I guess I would say also because of like that boost of the YC, like that helped us to move faster. And I guess that was another thing because before that we were like trying to be efficient on every single thing that we do, and to maybe slowed us down because we didn't have much cash on hand. And then we got that boost, and we're like, okay, now we could go reach actually our potential of how fast we could move, and that's what we did. And for 3 months, it was just grinding 24/7, and it was before that the same, but that was like, okay, now we could actually do something, and it made us move really fast, and that's what happened, I guess, during that 3 4 months.
There's this whole debate about what's the YC of hardware. And Gary Tan always says YC is the YC of hardware, because YC is not only a place to build software, it's the best place to build hardware as well. And what you're saying, Reza, right now really resonates with me and with, I think, everyone that knows YC for the hardware startups is even if you're building a hardware company, they push you to go very fast, to iterate, and to actually get signed contract. So I want to go to this 1 billion LOI conversation. There's so many investors that I know, maybe including myself, that say, oh, LOIs at demo day are useless because, YC companies, maybe they sign LOIs among themselves with crazy numbers and they're not real. And it's better to actually have signed contract or actual revenue, but don't trust the LOIs. That's what everyone says. And I've also heard YC group partners saying revenue, then contract, then LOI, right? There's a hierarchy. It is obviously better to actually get revenue than LOI. But when you're in your shoes, you're not going to be in space in 3 months, right? So how did you guys think about all of that? How did you transition from LOI to actually binding contracts? Why did you still chase the LOIs up to an extent of 1 billion, which is crazy? Walk me through how you thought about all of this, because this is a topic that comes back again and again every demo day about the hardware startups and the LOIs.
So the $1 billion of LOIs that we have are for long-term customers, the ones who wants to go to the moon as well as like Mars, not yet, but for the mostly for moon missions. And we got those LOIs after talking to them for such a long period of time, because before we got to YC, we were building, we were talking, we were iterating. And that's when we got those LOIs. And then once we go to YC always pushed us, like they say, make something people want. LOIs are great for a hardware company. LOIs are definitely great because LOIs, that means there's a market. But YC always pushed us, go get those contracts. If someone is actually willing to sign a binding contract and pay you money, pay you a deposit, for an example, even if it could be like such a small amount of deposit, it could be $10,000. But when there's some money involved, it's serious. So that's what YC like always pushed us. So we were going for like these conferences to meet our customers, meet them face to face, because until then we had only seen them over Zoom. So Reza was like packing his bags and going to UK. I was like traveling around in US, everywhere, like trying to meet those customers so we can actually sign those contracts. So it was a lot of traveling to meet them in person and actually understand their pain points, because those contracts just didn't pop out overnight. Those are like long conversations, because turning from an LOI to a contract is a long way, because LOIs, you can put anything basically into the LOI because it's not binding. But when it comes to a contract, customers as well as ourselves, we all won't be safe. So we have to make sure what are their pain points, because that's when the serious conversations start. And if we can provide solutions to those pain points, and then it's from there, it's just all a lot of like legal talk of how to make the contract safe for both sides. And Reza can talk about his experience in UK if you want.
Yeah, and the UK was a weird one. Essentially, I guess in order to get to those contracts, we did a bunch of stuff. Like for the UK one, we wanted to meet these people, one of our customer, and we wanted to meet them in person. What we wanted to do is, okay, how could we meet them in person? We don't know where they might be. So we were like, okay, we go like stalk their LinkedIn, and we're like, oh, they might go to this conference like literally next week. And we're like, okay. And we just emailed them like, oh, we are coming to the conference. And we heard them that they were going to be there. And I just packed my bag and went there. And it was like 3 days of not sleeping or anything like that, but that was important. But that didn't stop there. Like we have customers all around the world, so the timing difference is always weird. Let's say in SF was like 10 p.m. or like midnight or 2 a.m. And that was the right time to actually talk to the customer. So all we did, we set up time regardless of the time of the day. Like a lot of the talks we had with our customers were between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. So within that period. So there was a lot of nights we just pulled all-nighter to be able to talk to customers. Like that was it, because we didn't have time to reschedule to find a proper time that we would be awake. Like sleeping was kind of optional. So we did a lot of that, and to be able to actually get to it, because again, we only had 3 months and we had to sign stuff, and that was an important move, just to go all the way out.
Very interesting. Two things that I understand is, one, there's been a lot of talks. I think maybe it's Brad, because Brad was your group partner. And I think he's the one who tweeted just a few days ago. He always pushes his startups, his companies, to literally go out and travel and meet the customers face to face. So that's the main answer that I heard from you. I wanted to ask you, but you got the question. How do you actually get from LOI to contract? And both of you said, we got to see the customer face to face. That's the first thing. And then the second thing you said was, we really understand the needs, the pains, because just like you said, Ashi, it's an LOI. You can throw anything you want in there, but a contract is actually binding. What I'm also hearing and understanding from what you're saying is, probably there's some truth to it that if you only have LOIs at demo day, probably you haven't done that work that you just mentioned of going out, of convincing them to pay a small deposit. It's possible. You did it. You're the proof. And you did it for 86 million. You didn't do it for $500,000. So if you guys did it, and then there's a company that shows up at demo day and says, oh, I only have LOI, right now, I think it confirms what everyone says. Oh, you should probably be careful. Every company is different, right? And every startup has its own journey. But that was super, super interesting. Everyone thinks that during YC, you're just in the YC building coding. But for you, it means being on a plane, being all around the US and all around Europe, trying to talk to customers and selling. And that's what YC is. It's building and it is selling. I think it's the main two components. So by the way, were you building the tech as well at the same time while you were on the road everywhere? Were you able to keep building the hardware, or did you put that on pause for 3 months?
Oh, we kept building the hardware. We actually went like crazy mode building the hardware. A lot of this stuff we actually got built during that 3 months. Like it was insane. Yeah, like talking to customer was happening, building the hardware was happening. Again, as I mentioned, sleeping was optional. So we had a lot of hours in a day. So we kept doing both. It was an important thing that we do both, because we're in space industry. So it's not like you just go talk to customers and they're like, oh, amazing, I love you too, so let's sign something. You have to be able to show them something, right? And that's an important piece. So the tech was an important piece. Like just talking to customers is not going to do the job. So that's that we did. We did a lot of building on the side. Like for example, when I was traveling on the airplane, or when I was there, like prepping stuff for customer, while at the same time I was building and like talking to our supplier, making sure all of this stuff are coming together on the building side. Once I come back, I could put stuff together and start building more. So it was like combination of both, because it's important. Because again, like otherwise customers don't believe us. We just tell them, oh, that's what we are building. They want to see proof of that. Yeah, so that was an important piece that we have to also build at the same time. And yeah, so yeah, we did both, I guess.
Amazing. That's, like you said, sleep was optional. So building and selling. And so I'm sure there's a lot of listeners here who are potentially hardware startups interested to go in YC. There's been more and more lately, and I think that's amazing. We need more hardware in the US and not only software. So, for example, we need people to actually build stuff here as well. And they might be thinking to themselves, or it could be YC founders as well, other YC founders, right, who listen to this. How do we sign a contract, which is not an LOI, it's a binding contract with a deposit, but then it's not yet ready to be shipped because you're not live yet. I think you're still building. Correct me if I'm wrong. And so how do you articulate that, manage the customer's expectations, maybe also the pricing? Because if you haven't built it 100%, you're not exactly sure how much it's going to cost and your margin. How do you go around all of those potential problems of actually contracting without being done with the building yet?
So for that, you have to talk to your customers about the biggest pain point. Because our customers' biggest pain point is not being able to do their missions efficiently. And every industry has a pain point, right? So, because for an example, when you first ask why we are going for repair as well as refueling, repair is not a big pain point. So that's why we have put it aside for now. Refueling is the biggest pain point. So that's what we are chasing. And even inside refueling, there are smaller pain points, right? Like how they want to transfer the fuel, how often they want to get fuel, or type of fuel. There are like different types of pain points for different customers. So you had to chase that and you had to find a solution and you had to talk to them and then give a solution, obviously a solution that you can provide. You shouldn't like bluff and be like, oh, I can provide this solution and then not actually provide it. That's not what I'm saying. But if you can actually provide a solution, run the numbers, and if you can actually build it and show to the customer. Because another thing that we have done and doing right now, we ask for their pain points and we actually don't tell them that we can provide the solution. We actually try to build it first and then we show it to them. Because if we tell them and then we can't build it, then we are losing a customer and also we are losing trust. So right now we are building something really cool, which I could tell you, to a really big point, biggest, one of the biggest pain points in the space industry. We are building a solution for it and we didn't tell our customers.
Are you going to tell me?
I cannot. I can tell you like
Okay, I
once
tried. That's
it's
fine. Keep
public.
going. I tried at least, you know. Next time,
but
when you announce it, you come back on the show, okay?
yep. Oh yeah, we could do that. Yeah, it's going to be epic. So that's what that's how you build, that's how you move LOIs to contracts. Because customers will sign a contract if it's a really big pain point and it's the bottleneck. They cannot do their missions, they cannot build their company without your solution. Then they have to sign a contract. They have to at least put some money. And also, it could be a contract that has milestones in it. It doesn't have to be fully, it could be like a conditional contract where you had to reach a certain milestone for them to give you a deposit, which is totally fair because you are still building. We are shipping hardware in a couple of months or maybe an year from now. But if you can put a milestone to it and you reach that milestone and then you get that contract or you get that deposit. So that's how we do it.
I love it. It's don't overpromise and underdeliver. It's underpromise and overdeliver and only build it and then show it. And it reminds me of other hardware YC startups that we saw in the latest batch where there's a robot to repair cracks on the road. And the robot actually is live and works and is repairing cracks on the road. And there's a unmanned boat to patrol the oceans. And the boat is actually built. And you see a video of that. So it's not about just promising, it's about building. And that's what you did. And that's what, so I love this very much. What would you advise in terms of timeline? Would you advise to set a short timeline to put a huge pressure on yourself to deliver quickly? Or would you advise to give yourself some time in case something goes wrong you haven't seen? You still have time to start from scratch or actually be on time because you've gave yourself a lot of leeway.
I could answer that one. The short answer is give yourself no timeline. Run as fast as possible. I guess that's the short answer. Because especially on the way we're doing stuff is on like, I guess, old traditional way of space industry is to run a lot of simulations and then build, and then whatever you build has to work. No way around it. The way we've been doing it, I guess the way also the new space companies are doing it, mostly because of SpaceX, is we build, we iterate, like we build, test, destroy stuff, and then we do it again, and we do it again. So it helps us move a lot faster, and that's what we've been doing. So the short answer is move as fast as possible for building, for anything. Because in the end of the day, we start up and we don't have unlimited amount of time, so we have to try to do as much as possible in the short time we have. I know a lot of people say startup is a marathon and not a sprint. To me, startup is a sub 2 hours marathon, which is like almost impossible to do, but you have to sprint as fast as possible for the marathon.
Maybe it's a lot of
Long,
sprints back to back, right? It's a lot of
yeah,
10
it's
days
always,
or
yeah,
24-hour sprints that all pack together, right?
yeah. So I always say it's a sub 2 hour marathon. It's long, it's take forever, but you have to move as fast as possible. And when it comes to sub 2, again, not everyone in the world does it, could do it. So far, I think only one person has done it. And the same thing in startups. Startups have a high failure chance, and you have to make sure in the world you're the only one who is able to do it, or you're the only company who is able to do it. So I think that's how you should go about any startup.
I think that's a very good answer as well, because there's something called the Parkinson law, which I'm sure you've heard about. It says that whatever time you have for a task, you're going to fill that time. It's like when you're much younger, or when I was much younger, where you had an essay to do for school and it's due in a month, and you would do the same essay because you would start 2 days before. Then if it's due for the end of the week, it's the same result. It just took you much more time, usually because you start at the very end sometimes. So it's better to just cram everything and go for very short timelines. Okay. And then last thing on this, but it's fascinating because you guys are living it every day. So I want to get as much information as I can. What about price? How do you sell when you haven't built it and you don't know how much it's going to cost? Isn't that a big issue? If it ends up costing you more, you've undersold, and your company's losing money, and you're closing down. So that's a big risk. How do you mitigate that?
So the pricing is an interesting one, right? Especially like what you said, like there's a lot of unknowns, and you just have to price it in a way that you don't lose money. There are a lot of ways around it. There's a lot of ways, like depending on the company and industry you're in. I guess one thing you could do is what kind of maybe a lot of YC companies do. You price it like high, and then you have to talk to customers, see what they say, right? Like you price it, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is too much. Okay, let's go back, see what we could do. So we go, just come back. So there's a lot of back and forth to see, okay, what the right price is. Because I think that's what you get of the more insight of your customer to see, okay, what is their pain point is also. You might see, okay, these are all of the assumptions I'm making, and this is the price I have, right? But there's a really good chance all of the assumptions you're making about your customers are wrong. And so by just going back and forth with the customer, that's when you like, okay, this assumption wrong. Okay, what are the actual assumptions? What are the actual numbers? And within that process, you might also hear about other pain points that you didn't even think about. Okay, like what if I still try to solve those? Then what happens? I guess the short answer is you have to talk to customers to find the right pricing. Of course, they want to go as low as possible. You want to go as high as possible. So I don't know. I guess we would start with the high and then see what the customer. You just bring it down until the customer is okay with it. And also, I think that talking to the customer is a big part of it. But I guess there are different strategies you take into account in this stage. Like, what if it's like a proof of concept, right? If it's you're like proving to them that something works, maybe it's okay to lose money in the first part of it, right? There are different strategy, like for other founders, they could take, okay, maybe the first delivery I have to the customer, like the first shipment, is okay if I lose a bit of money. If longer term, it means I'm going to make a lot of money, right? There's a lot of things to think about there. It really depends on the company and your industry. But I would say in the end of the day, it really comes down to talking to the customer.
Thank you for that. And I understand that it's not easy, even for you. It seems to still be a little bit of guessing. I was hoping maybe you give me a magic formula. It's very hard, and that's why I'm asking the question. I understand you're still also probably trying to figure it out. What you're saying, though, Reza, I think makes a lot of sense, is trial and error. And if you lose a little bit of money, but the company grows and you learn, and that's fine. Thanks for that. Okay. Actually, you said you have 2 missions coming up. So where are you now? What's coming up for you? What's exciting? Tell me what's going on right now and in the coming months for Spaceium.
Soon, you will see a press release about our very first mission, which I could share the dates, but it's soon. It's so soon that we are not sleeping. Yeah, so that's going to be our very first mission. And then we have another mission coming up soon after, a couple of months after. So those are all demonstration missions, which is a way to prove to our customers, yes, we can do this. We can store fuel, we can transfer fuel, And then we go into our commercial missions that we have planned for our customers. It's an exciting time because now sometimes just have to pinch ourselves and be like, we're actually doing this. We're actually going to ship our hardware for integration. It's just crazy to think because an year ago, like we always knew, like deep down we'll get here, but it just happened so soon. We are counting days until we had to actually ship our hardware, and then we are literally seeing our hardware right in front of our eyes that's going to space, which is crazy. It's like you build something and that's going to go to space and you're never going to see it again anymore. So that's crazy.
It must be a very amazing feeling. Yeah, it must be crazy. Lots of luck and good vibes and everything. I'm excited to hear more about that. It is crazy to think that depending on the date, it's going to be less than a year or close to a year after you finish YC that you're already going to go to space. So for anyone who says hardware companies take forever to ship or to prove their concept, like you have an example here of it's been the year since we finished YC and we're actually going to space. That's pretty amazing. I wanted to ask you as well about building hard startups, building hard tech. I've had this debate with Philip from StarCloud and with a bunch of other people. Is it easier to build something very difficult because you can raise more money, attract more talented people, and you have almost zero competitors? Do you feel some of this? Would you agree with that statement, or you don't feel like that at all?
I wouldn't call it easy at all. It has been hard. Fundraising was really hard before YC. Like that's why we almost went homeless. But YC was amazing. I should also say YC helped us like in all aspects, like in terms of fundraising, in terms of building hardware, in terms of talking to customers. They helped us in all aspects of our business. So thank you to YC. And it's hard, but you just have to keep going. But I guess finding talent, yes, there are a lot of people who wants to join if you're building something cool or hard, but also you have to find the right person to join your team, because that's very important. Just because there's a lot of people who wants to join just doesn't mean you should, because you have to find like-minded people who wants to build your company from ground up. So it's hard to find talent, find the people who have the same mindset to build this really hard company, who's going to stay with you through all the grinding and everything, right? So I wouldn't say it's easy. That's what I would say. But it's fun.
That's interesting.
We wouldn't have it any other way, basically.
It seems you like doing this. You're so passionate, I can hear. And it probably you guys wouldn't even like it if it was too easy. It has to be difficult. What you're trying to do is extremely difficult indeed. And so it has to be a challenge. Before we leave, can I ask you both? It's a question I love asking because I'm a very avid reader, to recommend a book that had a big impact on your life. Could be your professional life, could be personal, but any books that you could recommend to me and to the listeners?
I would say 0 to 1.
Oh yeah, very cool. Peter Thiel, Zero to
Yep.
One. You want to expand?
That was a book that I read in the very beginning, like when we first started. So I felt like it resonated a lot with all the pain points that you're going to have in a startup, going from, like the title says, 0 to 1, from everything that we went through resonated within me in the book, and how to overcome those challenges. So that's why I think that's a really good book for anybody to read.
I think it is as well, if you haven't read it. Reza, do you have a book for us?
Oh, mine is also going to be 0 to 1, but I guess
Oh,
Ashi took it. I guess other than 0 to 1, what actually I guess changed my life maybe a lot, and I guess that's where it brought us to here, brought me at least to here. I don't know, remember the name of the book, but I mean, I'll talk about it, and I guess people could read anything that is related to stars or like our sun or anything like that, because I think it put the perspective of what is important and what is out there and how much time we have. I'll give you an example of why I'm saying that. I think it was when I was 6, and it was this astronomy book I got, and then I was reading it. It was a book for kids, right? And they had I remember it exactly. In one of the corner, it was like a picture of the sun as a Pac-Man eating the Earth, and underneath it was saying that, oh, like in whatever billions of years, the sun is gonna grow and it's gonna destroy the earth. And that was like showing in the cartoon way, Pac-Man eating the earth. And in my head was like, okay, if we know that already, why is no one doing anything about it? Like, it seems weird that we already know that this is not going to be a home forever. I guess maybe I was a bit naive when I was 6 because it says billions of years, but I guess I'm like, but still, at some point we have to live here, it seems like it, and no one's doing anything about it. And so that's when I made my life mission to help any way possible to get people out of this planet and at least find another place to call home. And that's when it became my life mission. And that kind of changed everything, right? Like right now, what we're doing is enabling like other like rockets or second stage rocket to go further, to get to reach other planets, doing more efficiently. That changed a lot for me. I know I don't have the name of the book, but there's any books regarding the stars. But if you're an entrepreneur, yeah, 0 to 1, 0 to 1 is the one. Definitely that one.
Very cool. I love this story. I remember feeling the same thing when you realize, well, we know it's going to happen. That's a big problem, right? I think you're right. There's overall, if you take anyone in the street, a random person, people don't know that much about the universe, about the laws of the universe and what's going to happen, etc. And it is fascinating. It is a fascinating topic for me, obviously. That's why I love investing in space companies as well, but not for as many people. So maybe, I don't know, we should write a book or we should do a podcast educating people on space more. It is a fascinating topic. And you guys are lucky enough to work on space every day. Okay, before we leave, when can people find you, follow Spaceium? What's the best place to reach you, follow along the news and the new announcement of the next mission, etc.?
Yeah, the best place is LinkedIn to follow Spaceium, as well as like we always share news if there's something cool happening. So I would say LinkedIn. Oh, anybody can reach out to us on our email as well. Just write to founders@spaceium.com, and yeah, we'll get back.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for having this chat with me. I had a blast. I hope you had as well. So thank you so much for taking this time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. It was awesome.
And to our listeners, if you're still here, thank you for staying until the end. Give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast app. If you're on YouTube, you can see our nice faces. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you for the next episode of the Lobster Talks. Until next time, bye everyone.